Hello, everybody, and welcome to another review discussion on Player 2. My name's Matt Hewson, and I am joined by Jason Hawkins tonight. Today, whenever you're watching this, who knows? And we're talking, as you can tell, from the graphics that our super producer has put together, that we're talking 2 Point Campus, the sequel to 2 Point Hospital, which, for those that don't know, is a throwback to these classic kind of sim games of years gone by. Jason, how
Yes.
are you, mate?
Every day is a beautiful miracle. How about yourself?
I'm good, I'm good. And how are you feeling about educating some fools in the likes of food, magic, and knighthood?
Well, if it's anything like the way I'm educating them, then I feel a bit more like it's a Trump university more than anything. But
Trump universe. Wow. Look, don't put that on the box quote, Seeger. That's probably not what you want as a promo point. Trump University. Righto, cool. So this is being developed by the same 2 Point Software, I think they're called, something like that. Anyway,
yeah,
they're doing 2 Point. They did 2 Point Hospital, which was a very clear remake, essentially, of Theme Hospital, the classic sim game from the late 90s. And then this is their kind of first new kind of subject that they've tackled. But my impressions, I haven't played as much of as you have, Jason. By impressions, it is very much the same game, but that is not a bad thing in any way. I don't feel it is very similar to 2 Point Hospital, but you know what? That's a good thing. That was a really good game to begin with.
Mm. Yeah. For me, I haven't actually played Two Point Hospital, so we have a bit of a difference of opinion here, and I think
Mm.
that's good. I've put about 45 hours into it.
Oh,
I
yep.
am pretty much finished the main story. Well, I say story, each one's kind of just its own little scenario.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm actually really enjoying it. It took me a little while to get into it. It relies on a lot of like kind of a little bit of a silly humor and everything like that, and a lot of that did not click with me at all. Like I love silly jokes, but I'm just like when I was looking at it, I'm like there was a radio and the guy was talking for like 15 minutes about panic rooms and stuff like that. And I'm like, I get what you're doing here, but man, it is not hitting. Um, but once I got through a few of the stages and started unlocking more of the things, because like the game eases you into things very, very slowly, and as you progress through, it unlocks more and more, and you have to do more and more for your people to get them through. That's when I started getting a little bit more into it, because I love my like real hardcore management games. Like you pull out your spreadsheets and tackle your trade routes and manage everything like that. And this is not that game.
No, it isn't. It is very much a kind of simulation game for everyone, I
Yeah,
guess. It's appealing to a very broad audience. And
yeah,
and the humor is, I think the one-liners work better than the kind of podcast stuff.
yep,
So the for example, there's the kind of office lady that pipes in on the radio every now and then and has a message,
mm,
for everyone. Says, "No, I can't. I don't know where your phone is," or something like that. It'll
yep,
just throw it out. Frequently asked questions. No, no, you can't bring your mum to school today. That's sort of kind of one-liners every now and they're quite funny, and had a lot of giggles. But some of the podcast stuff, I switched off.
yep.
It just kind of faded into the distance. The ads though, I found
The
quite
ads were
funny.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There was
and
one
like
for a
also the
dodgy Bitcoin, and that was hilarious.
Yeah, and also the course names are really funny. Like there's Funny Business, which is a combined course of clown school and economics, and I'm like,
Yeah,
you know what? That's really good. That's really
yeah.
funny. And Scientography and like just things that just
Scientography.
like
Yeah.
slightly wrong. And like that's all really really good. But yeah, a lot of that podcast stuff, I'm just like, ugh, this is like droning on for a really long time. And
Yeah.
I guess they're just trying to like maybe that's just trying to like loop it into like the university experience of like these people that don't really know how to run a radio station or running this radio station, and they kind of crap at it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And it
that's
certainly
what this
feels
feels.
like that. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a professional production in those
Mm,
podcasts sort of thing. It definitely feels like that amateur radio hour.
yeah.
The music itself, though, that mixes up is quite appropriate. I found it
Yeah.
quite
It's
quite
quite
soothing
fun.
and appropriate to the situations. I liked the Paris school. Well, not Paris. It was. I don't think they actually said Paris, but it was clearly
Okay.
set in Paris. The culinary school.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and they the music changes up depending on which region you are, and there's quite a good little joke at all these little kind of stereotypes that different cultures have,
Mm.
and what they feel is kind of a typical scenario for a college or a university in that area.
That was good as well because it had the DJ that runs
Yeah,
the culinary school and is because of his nightclub, the Beetroot, and I'm like, you know
yeah,
what? That's kind of funny. I get
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That sort of
yeah,
stuff's kind of cool.
yeah.
The thing I thought was like because I come from a decently hardcore management background, like what I'm into, I found that like because this is kind of your everyman's or every person's rather
Mm,
simulation, it was really hard to track a lot of what people needed. Like sometimes it's going, hey, you need to get you need to get everyone's happiness up, or you need to get everyone's grades up. And I'm like, okay, I kind of get how to do this, but like it doesn't give me enough info to like
yeah,
actually really look through and find out exactly what I need to do to tackle the problem.
yeah. It does. It in kind of being appealing. I think it avoids some of those more kind of standoffish elements of the
Mm.
genre, which is like graphs and things like that.
Yeah.
So for example, Tropico is well known to
Oh,
be one of my
love
favorite
Tropico.
series.
Yeah.
But there's graphs for days. If
Yep.
you want to get deep into Tropico and work out what your citizens are
Hmm.
doing, there's a graph for that. There's none of that information in this game that's easily accessible. Like you can get an idea by clicking on the students, and you get a kind of vague idea of what they're feeling and
Yeah.
and what might help them. And the tutorials as you work through give you kind of pointers as how to improve the mood generally, or to improve their grades generally. But
Yep.
there's sometimes that you're just not quite sure, and I have noticed that there's kind of I think there's an assumed knowledge
Mm.
there that you've played Two Point Hospital as well.
Yep.
So I think they could have done a bit better in that kind of
Yeah.
area to give the information. They could have done it in a way that didn't have to be obviously like an Excel spreadsheet, but
Yeah,
uh,
like they've got heat maps and things like that, which
yeah,
I found quite useful for looking at things like attractiveness. Because when I was trying to raise the attractiveness of rooms, I was just throwing posters down everywhere. And then when I brought up the heat map, I actually saw, oh, when you put something down, it kind of creates a radius. So I don't need to
yeah,
put them literally everywhere. But like for things like dormitories, I didn't know that I didn't have enough dormitories because it never told me in the game. And
yeah,
suddenly I built like 5 more dormitories and the dormitory satisfaction went up like crazy. So
yeah.
sometimes you're like fighting against those elements a little bit, which can make like it's not too bad for when you go in that first star, but once you unlock that first star and you go on to the second star or the third star, that's when you like really
Yeah,
actually
you
need
really
to
need it.
nail
Yeah.
things down.
Yeah, and I do like though that it has this star system that
Mm.
it doesn't stop progression for people that want to just kind of dabble in everything and have a play around and be a
Yeah.
faux manager. You can one star everything quite easily.
Yep.
Um, but if you want the challenge of making these perfect universities, and I think that's the appeal of this genre. You've got the option to hang around and in that one area, and like I played the first university until I got the 3 stars. Like I had to do
Mm.
it. But some people won't. They want to see what the next school is and what the next one opens up,
Yeah.
and I think that caters quite well to the general everyday sort of gamer.
Yeah, and you can also like once you've started college, you can actually go back to it, and you can either choose to restart it if you want to like really start from scratch with all your new knowledge and new unlocks, or
Yeah,
you can just go back to it with like all of the stuff you've unlocked already. Like when I went back to it, I unlocked like medical med bays and pastoral rooms and things like that. So it actually really changed up what had to be done in that first room because suddenly there's all these extra needs, but also all the extra things I could do to achieve
yeah.
things, which is
It, re-
very
it
cool.
It really does give you very few games give you a reason to go back to old levels except for,
Yeah.
trophy hunting. But I think theme, we're getting waves from our producer in the background. He loves the trophy. But this game gives you a real reason to go back and visit old levels because you've got not only gained knowledge but gained equipment, gained rooms, and it adds extra challenge to those older maps once you've got that all unlocked, and it gives you a lot to do.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything, but I almost wish there was like a fourth star that you could go for after
Mm,
everything was unlocked, where it was like, hey, you finished the game. Now go back to that first level, restart it, and we'll give you like a really hard goal to go for. I wish that was there. I don't know if it is, but I wish it was. Um, the other thing that kind of miffed me, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about things that miffed me because I do quite like the game, but
yeah.
one of the things that miffed me is there's like while you're going through the story, it feels very much like a tutorial, like where you are
Mm,
unlocking new things, but it doesn't feel like there's any reason to have a school with more than one class,
yeah.
which was kind of a bummer because like it gives you other classes and they don't come up during the actual story, like internet history and general knowledge are two of the
Hmm.
ones that I can think of off the top of my head. I think also funny business. Um, and there's just no reason to do that because they don't help you toward the goals at all because the goals always are like for the main class. But
Except for the hospital, the not hospital,
yes,
the
the
campus
VR.
star level. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But I did see that there is a sandbox mode.
yeah.
I was glad that that was there, where you could play around with that stuff because I would love to like once I've fully unlocked everything, really go back and just really make a
Do
cool
your own
campus.
uni and build it
Yeah,
how you like. Yeah, yeah. I think that's an important thing. To note that the campaign, it does feel very much like a long tutorial, and it's
yeah,
an enjoyable tutorial,
mm,
but it is a long tutorial, and it's teaching you the game for when you kind of tackle it on your own and just do your thing and try and make the best university you can.
yeah.
Which is what 2 Point Hospital did as well. It's very much the same playbook there.
Yeah, and it's not like the whole game's easy either because like later on those missions are hard. Like they are so difficult. I was really struggling with some of the late ones. Like for example, much later in the game you have a magic school and it you are constantly getting invaded by um an enemy school and they like decrease the happiness of all your people and they decrease the attractiveness of rooms and things like that, and struggling against that while also trying to keep a school running and be profitable is very challenging.
Yeah, yes, and I think that's another area it kind of could do with a bit more guidance is the profit. Your
Yeah,
money. I think it's a little bit vague in how it presents money and to what is a good way to earn money and what is a good way to save money. I think for a business game it needed just a little bit clearer guidance on the monetary side of things.
yeah, totally. It's this really weird thing where you like feel like you're struggling for money for ages and then you suddenly hit this peak and you're just making tons of it, like hand over fist
Yeah,
making lots of money.
and it's
um
not quite clear what tipped you over either. So
yeah.
I think, yeah, and these are things that could be ironed out too. We're playing pre-release,
Mm,
so it's worth noting that most of these games tend to have balance patches fairly quickly
yep.
once they're in the wild. So that sort of thing could be added very quickly, and I'd imagine it would be. They supported 2 Point Hospital very well, so
Yeah,
I
yeah, Two
don't
Point
see any.
Hospital's still getting updates if I recall correctly. They had
Yeah,
some
yeah.
not
So
too long ago, so
I feel like some of these balance issues and maybe information issues could be addressed reasonably quickly. Once it's amongst the wild and people and coming to Game Pass, I don't. It's going to give them a
mm.
very large pool of players to draw data from.
Yeah, it is actually really interesting that it was coming to Game Pass. I was actually really surprised, but I'm happy for it because like it allows people to get their hands on this stuff, and
Mm.
I think that's super duper cool. Because this is, I'm not going to say casual because it's definitely not a casual game, but because this is more of a broad management game, I find it very relaxing, honestly.
Mm.
In comparison to like sometimes in Tropico, where you're like, especially in the later Tropicos, where you start
Yeah.
to get invaded a bit more and things like that, you're like, this is so stressful trying to
Yeah.
maintain all of
Yep.
these
Yep.
things all at once. This one, you just like, okay, I've got my buildings down, I've got my staff running, I can kind of just kick back and watch this kind of unfold, which is really cathartic, honestly.
It's absolutely that Sunday afternoon game that you can play while you've got the footy on or something in the background, and you go and get a coffee and just come back to the game, and you're confident like the world hasn't gone to shit
Yep.
while you've gone to get a drink.
Yeah, exactly. Like absolute worst, a couple of like some people will drop out, but
Yeah,
they'll all come back. You'll make your way
yeah.
back, so that it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I'm pretty positive on it. I'm going to keep playing it. I enjoy this style of game. It has its problems, but it's certainly a really good broad example of a sim game that almost anyone can get into.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the brilliance of Game Pass comes in, because it's the sort of genre that tends to only attract people that are, already in. They're already in this genre because they're old like us. They grew up with SimCity and Tropico and games like that. But now on Game Pass, the barrier for entry drops. So
Oh yeah.
you know, if you've got a vague interest, even if you like the graphic style, all it costs you is some time to download the thing. So I think that was it's a really clever move for this sort of genre, and I think it may win them a fair few fans in the process.
Yeah, it's also really good because I'm playing on PC.
Mm.
I think you are as well, are you? Or are you
Yes,
playing?
yeah,
Yeah. But a lot of these games, like 10, 20 years ago, the console controls for them were absolute garbage. But
yeah, yeah.
it's gotten so much better. Like
Hmm.
my wife played all of Tropico 5 on PS5 and loved it. And I think
Yep.
this will be exactly the same. She's ready to jump in on this, even though she played all of Two Point Hospital on PC. And I think it's just awesome that it's easy to play in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I played Two Point Hospital on the Switch, and
Mm,
it worked perfectly. So um, uh, they've worked out a suitable control scheme for consoles using twin sticks. I mean, I'm
yeah.
a PC guy at heart, so I'll probably always play with the mouse and keyboard
Mm,
as my primary. But if I want to go for a wander and play it on my Switch, then to know that I'm not missing out is really cool.
yeah. I'm actually really interested to see when this game launches because I know how I build my universities. I am an incredibly logical person. I have not much of a creative bone in my body, and I'll build my campuses like, okay, this needs to be here, this needs to be here, do all that, and then I'll copy that and move that on to the next one, and this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But I'm very keen to see what people make with this that actually looks nice and is functional because I am not that guy. I'm just like, okay, 4x4 room, let's go.
This is the routine. Yep, I've
Yeah.
got the minimum bathroom, the minimum dormitory, the minimum.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very keen to see what people do because, like, a couple of times when they build the first campus for you, I'm like, wow, this looks really nice, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this. This is not for me. I need to like focus on making this work.
Yeah, yeah. This is no good. There's no clear way this is working efficiently. I've got to
Mm.
fix
Yep.
it. Excellent. Well, I think that's just about it for our discussion. Have you got anything more you wanted to talk about before we go?
Nothing off the top of my head.
Nothing off the top of your head?
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with it. Honestly, I am keen to play around with it more, especially in the sandbox mode. So,
Excellent. And I'm the same. I want to work my way through the rest of the game. I haven't played as much, obviously, but uh, it's very much in the same mold as Two Point Hospital. If you played Two Point Hospital and you enjoyed that, don't even need to read any reviews. You're going to like this. It's a wonderful kind of joyous, fun experience that it doesn't take itself seriously, but offers serious gameplay at the same time. So yeah, don't be put off if think the cartoony exterior is a hide is going to make it a simple game. I can tell you it's not the case.
yep,
It will give you a good healthy challenge, and I think you'll get a kick out of it, and it's worth giving a try, especially if you've got Game Pass.
yep. Now you don't have to
Well,
read a review, but if you did want to read a review, you can
yes,
definitely read it on player2.net.au.
absolutely. You beat me to the plugs. That's good. So, Jason, where can we find you on the World Wide Web?
I'm a mystery wrapped in enigma, but you can follow me on Twitter at Pesmar, Pesmare, or you'll see my work at player2.net.au.
Excellent. And you can find me at Huso81 or Player2AU. As I like to say, there's more swearing on Huso81, less swearing on Player2AU. That'll determine where you should follow me. Make sure you head over to player2.net.au, check out our news, reviews, previews, podcasts, videos, opinion pieces, and a whole bunch of other stuff. We basically let anyone do anything over there, but it makes for some fun articles. So make sure you check it out. We do have a Patreon if you like that sort of thing, but otherwise, just give us a like and slap that subscribe button or whatever the YouTubers tell you to do. I'm too old to tell you to do that. It just seems weird. But thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on another review discussion in the near future. Bye.